and this is the Agegroup Multisport podcast with me, Richard Conway. This is a platform for Agegroup Multisport athletes to showcase their journeys.
But yeah, like even just putting on that Irish Fest was something that I've always wanted to do.
And coming up on episode 101 is Eoin Bailey, who you just heard there, saying that he always wanted to put on the Irish vest, and he wasn't really bothered what sport it was, and he found multisport, and yep, he's been successful several times now racing for Ireland. So I hope you enjoy Eoin's story. Fantastic to meet him and get the Irish perspective. Really good story. So hope you enjoy that one. That's coming up. And a big well done to everybody who raced over in Portugal. Be a couple of weekends ago now. Whatever distance you did, whatever sport you did, it was great to see such a big British contingent, and it was great for me to catch up with so many guests that have been on the podcast, because there was a lot of you guys racing, and I hope you had the race that you wanted and you got the results that you wanted. So yeah, well done, fantastic. It was a fantastic event and a fantastic city. Really enjoyed supporting Mrs. C on her endeavour over there in the sprint duathlon, and she did quite well. She did better than the last time that she raced, so that was an improvement, and yeah, going forward it's all good. So on to the next one, and on to the next lot of qualifying. Couple of podcasts to recommend. The first one is by Working Triathlete, just a podcast that I've only just found, and they were talking about 8 mistakes we see athletes make on race day, and they'll be all familiar to all of us, but yeah, good listen. Good podcast. Check that one out. And the second one was the High Performance Podcast, and they had Laura Kenny on, which was a great listen. Not multi-sport related, but cycling related. And as you know, if you've listened to this before, I'm a big cycling fan. And it was fascinating to hear, since Laura's stopped cycling and retired, her thoughts on her career and why she stopped, basically. So yeah, really cool. So give that one a listen. High Performance Podcast. And what did you think of the Olympic selection? A big hoo-ha in the UK for the GB Triathlon selection. Unfortunately, Sophie Caldwell missed out. Johnny Brownlee missed out. But from Sophie's point of view, there's light at the end of the tunnel. She is now going to race in London at the T100. She got a wild card, so every cloud. And I believe Johnny Brownlee is going to go over and support the British team at the Olympics anyway. So yeah, not too bad. I think it's a difficult scenario, really. There's no right nor wrong answer. It's just a shame that it had to go the way it went. And you feel sorry for any of the athletes that have not made the qualification and not got through, really. So good luck to all those who have, and we'll be watching it, and yeah, it'll be hopefully really entertaining, and we can get some medals. The big one's on now. The Tour de France started 3-week bike race, which is not finishing on the Champs-Élysées in Paris due to the Olympics, but is going to finish in Nice, a well-known triathlon course. So that's going to be exciting, bit of a difference, and it's going to be finishing with a time trial as well, so that'll be cool. So yeah, I'll be glued to the TV watching that, and it's been exciting so far. We're in day 3 at the moment. Yeah, some really good racing to come, I'm sure. So without further ado, on to the main event. We're going to be hearing from Ireland's Agegrouper Eoin Bailey. I hope you enjoy his story, and we shall see you on the other side. Welcome, Eoin, to the Agegroup Multisport podcast. Thank you for agreeing to do this. And if you'd like to just start by introducing yourself, who you are, what you do, and yeah, how your background got you into multisport.
Yeah. Thanks, Rich, for having me. Yeah, it's my name is Eoin Bailey, age group athlete for Ireland. I'm a school teacher and a carpenter by trade originally, and teaching for the last 14 years in secondary school in Ireland, post primary. Um, I suppose I grew up on a farm in Ireland, in rural Ireland, a sheep farm, cattle farm, horse farm. Grandparent, my granddad was a livestock dealer for many years, and then dad took over the farm, and then we had no choice only to muck in when we were young. So hard work came naturally, I suppose.
That's quite funny because my dad is also from Ireland, from County Clare, Claremorris, and he was brought up on a farm, and we used to go back as kids, when that was our holidays actually going back over there. So I can relate.
Relate to the hardship.
Yeah, absolutely. It was hardship. Yeah,
Yeah, we had sheep mainly, and it was yeah, a nightmare, you could say, but it's all
yeah,
part of growing up too, you know.
yeah. But when you're growing up and you're going through it, you don't know any different, do you? So
Correct. Yeah, you just muck in and that's it, you know.
yeah, yeah.
So your time off is short. But yeah, I suppose look, growing up in Ireland, GA was a huge Gaelic sport. Was huge in every parish in Ireland, you know. So it was just a case of just getting in and playing Gaelic football and hurling at a young age. With the farm, we had horses, so I was riding horses from the time I was 3 years of age. Anything to do with sport, really, growing up, I was there. Even when I went to secondary school, I was nearly gone every day of the week with whatever sport and activity I could do. But yeah, mainly hurling and football at the start. Um, and then we kind of got into a bit more horse riding, a bit more serious when we got to the later 10, 11 years of age, that kind of way. Rugby, soccer, athletics, yeah, you name it, we did it at a young age. And it's probably nearly a downfall if you look back on life. I probably did too many sports and never really concentrated on one or two, you know. But yeah, I suppose growing up then, when we hit kind of the 14, 15 years, you know, it was kind of mainly hurling and football,
Yeah.
with club and tried for county as well in Wexford. And basically played serious hurling and football till I was mid early 20s, that kind of way, and branched every now and then back into rugby, and I was still doing horse riding at the same time, and
What
I
sort of
was
horse riding were you doing on?
I did everything. I did from basically from show jumping to eventing to hunting, yeah, dressage, everything, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So got qualified when I was 14. I got qualified for the RDS, and which would be the big event in Ireland, and also Mill Street back
Yeah.
then. And I was up against adults riding a 15-2 at the time, and I was only a young lad, no fear, no nothing. But I
Yeah.
was mixing with the adults. But yeah, we had a good run at that ourselves for a number of years, you know.
Mm. And what level did you reach in that?
Yeah, so it was like a kind of it would be ABC. So I was on the fringe of BC, that kind of way, you know. I don't think I never had the horse that I had was an all rounder, and I suppose looking to go to the next step would have been huge money at the time, you know.
No.
So
Yes, it's like a bit. It's a bit like triathlon and duathlon now, isn't it? It's not cheap.
no, it's not cheap. No, no. And I thought when I got into even cycling, it wasn't going to be that expensive, but I was sadly mistaken.
Well, it starts out not to be so expensive when you get your first bike and you just go out and but then as things progress and you just get into it, it does become quite expensive.
It does. You go down the rabbit holes of Googling, and you want this and you want that. Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
What football did you what football was it? Soccer, football,
well, it was soccer and Gaelic football,
and
both. Yeah,
Gaelic football.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it was mainly Gaelic football and hurling, and then as I said, I kind of branched into soccer and horse riding and athletics and rugby, you know, for a good few years as well. So then yeah, carpentry. I suppose when I finished up secondary school, I went in to do a trade. It was during the boom time in Ireland, so it was a way of making money. And I suppose having the farming background behind me, I was kind of hands on anyway. So qualified as a carpenter, but I always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to become a teacher.
Okay.
And like when I was growing up, I was always a PE teacher or some sort of teacher. And I suppose when I had the carpentry background behind me, I then decided to go into the direction of woodwork teaching. And then obviously got a job and started in secondary school and learning then. And I suppose from there we kind of tried to instill the kind of the sport that I was brought up to in secondary school. In my school, it was mainly, as I said, GEA, but the way it was done was very professional, and success kind of came with that professionalism in the secondary school. And I brought that, and I still do bring that to sport in schools that I've been in, and with success, thankfully, in mainly in rugby, that we've won Leinster competitions and so on for schools that would never have been at the elite level of any rugby. You know, I would never have taught in a private school, for instance, but you're mixing with some private schools, which is crazy for country schools, if you want to call them that way. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. I mean, it's a different level, isn't it? I guess the private schools have got all the money, um, and to mix it with those, and I guess it's down to it's quite cyclic, isn't it? It's down to the kids that you've got. You know that they're the raw material at the end of the day, aren't they? So you've got to mold them. Um, so
yeah, they're as I call them, they're like a sponge.
hmm,
You know, especially when you bring something new into a school and they jump on it, and okay, you have to get on with the kids too, and they have to see that, you know, you're not messing about. You actually want to have the crack with them as well. But you, when it gets serious, then they buy into that, and that's part of it. You know.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
cool. My son's a PE teacher. He's been qualified for what was it, 2 or 3 years now, and
great.
yeah, he loves it. He loves
Yeah,
it. He loves
yeah, something
kids
different
playing
every day.
sports, and he loves taking them out and in events and looks take going on the trips and stuff. That's it's quite a good role, I think. Quite a good job that he's got.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's something new every day. You know, you
Yeah,
just don't know what when you rock in the morning, you don't know what way kids are going to be, and yeah, you could go see, you probably teach over 100 kids every day, you know, that kind of way. And
yeah,
there's so many different personalities and so many different life stories that they have every day is something different, you know. So you have to try and manage all that as well,
yeah, yeah.
as well as teach.
That's teaching. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
So, yeah, but yeah, kind of, I suppose, what we're teaching, I suppose, and then graphics, I teach technical graphics and DCG to Leaving Cert as well. So construction studies as part of it as woodwork. So they're my main subjects,
Yeah,
as well as trying to do extra curric then with sport after school and so on with kids, you know.
yeah, cool. Well, it sounds fulfilling anyway. You know what I mean? It's a vocation at the end of the day, isn't it? Rather than a job.
It is, yeah. It's funny when you come back into a staff room after a bit of success and all the teachers are praising you, and
Yeah,
it's not you. It's the 15 or the 20 or whatever involved kids that have been training day in, day out that the teachers don't see because it's after school and so on, you know, and they should be getting the plaudits more so than the teacher, because we're just facilitating, you know, and we're just guiding them. That's all we are, you know.
yeah, yeah. But it's you've got to do that in the right way. Like you've already said. You've got to make sure that they want to be led, they want to learn, they want to be that sponge as you rightly said. So
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
having a good teacher, as we all know, having a good teacher is massive, isn't it? If you've got a really good teacher that you respond to, then think it doesn't feel like work, does it? Then it's
Correct. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You can have it, and look, and you can have the laugh, and you have to have the laugh for the kids.
yeah,
You know, life is just too serious for them at the moment. You know, with so much social media going on, like they have to feel like they're normal and they're human. And all I am is an older person than them. That's all I am. And
yeah,
you know, you have to get down to their ground and be at their level for 90% of the day. You know,
yeah.
you know.
So moving on then, after when you become a teacher,
Yeah.
did the sport
Um,
and go from there?
Yeah, I played. I still played up to GA up to my mid to late 20s, down home in Wexford, even though I was traveling up and down and so on. Um, and then I was captain of the year, a captain one year, and I was like, okay, I have enough of this now. I've traveling up and down the road. It was an hour up and down, 3 days a week, you know. So I came on when I was living in Carlow, and I said enough was enough. So I got poached to come play rugby with Carlo then, and played with J1s, which is their senior team for 3 years. And I played 1 or 2 seasons here with a senior football club called Aerogue, which would be very, very strong traditionally. And won a county title with them. And I got a bad injury playing rugby, dislocated my shoulder and broke my arm. against the local team called Kilkenny. So that nearly put the thought of a return of field sports into my head. It was a fairly bad injury, and obviously it takes the body a little longer to heal when you get a little bit older. So that was when I was 32, I think 32, 33, when that injury happened. So it was time then to pull the plug on it, I think, and maybe concentrate a bit more on schools rugby and so on. And got involved with the Leinster under 18s and under 16s um, coaching sides and development plan. I went there for a couple of years and then tried to implement that in different schools that I went into. Um, and then one of my mates at the time, he was going through a tough time mentally. He said, "Would you come on a spin, which is literally 15 minutes over the road to the nearest town. We go for ice cream some evening." And I said, "Yeah," I said, "Grand, no bother at all." So we decided to go one evening, and we rocked over here and we had an ice cream and we cycled back and we just had a chat. And from that time, I was like, "Geez, how have I never really cycled?" And I used to cycle to training when I was young lad, but like never really kind of hit me that okay, maybe this could be something that I could do, you know. So from that moment, I started go on to the Google and the Facebook and see was there a local club or anything around in Carlow, and there was a Carlow Road Cycle Club, and I contacted them and they said, "Look, realistically, you want to be doing, be able to ride for an hour minimum." So I was only after doing 25 minutes, that kind of way, and I thought it was great. So got involved with them, and they helped me along with the touring group. Got dropped as usual at the very start, and the learning curve, thinking I
Well,
was
that's a
great.
rite of passage, isn't it? You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't get dropped.
yeah, got bonked. Yeah, all those things in the first 6 months. But just loved it. Absolutely loved it. I suppose maybe maybe it's all of us that enjoy these sports that we just love pain, and that adrenaline rush and whatever, and that motivation, that drive, and that it just comes naturally. Maybe it was the way I was brought up, on the farm and so on. It was just work, work, work. But yeah, just loved it, absolutely loved it, and kind of I outgrew the touring group quick enough, and so I said, "Should I go racing?" And the boys were kind of laughing at me, and they said, "Well, there's 5 lads in the club there that are serious racers, like A1 levels, you know." And I said, "Sure, I'll go train with them." And they said, "Hold on now, do another kind of maybe 6 months with us." And I said, "Sure, I'll enter an A4 race." So I entered my first A4 race after maybe cycling for about 9 months.
Right.
And I lasted 6K in the race and I was blown out the back. And I was like, "What is going on here? These boys have just gone up the road." Talk about real awake eye opener now. But so yeah, I got onto some of the lads then in the racing group, and they said, "Right, we're going training in the winter. Coming October time, we're going. If you want to come with us." So just jumped in with them, and in my first season of A4, then I got out of in the first 3 races. I got up to A3, and got a couple of results in A3, and then the season finished. The second season, then I was 2 points off A2, and I got a bad fall. 6 was in a break with 3K to go to the finish line in Newbridge, and one lad clipped my wheel and brought 4 of us down, and got a bad fall, and that kind of hurt more so mentally than actually physically, that you were so close to A2 and you got a bad slap, and I came home and just kind of had to reevaluate. And one of the lads actually rang me afterwards and he said, "You know what you should do?" He said, "You should do triathlon or duathlon." He said, "You are a good runner," like, because I used to do a good bit of cross country when I was younger. And I was like, "Ah, yeah, whatever." Like, I wanted to, in my own head, I wanted to be an A1 cyclist, and that was it at the time. And so he mentioned to me again back in the winter again when we were back training, and he headed off to Australia then. So back in 2000, I think it was 2019, I was getting ready to go training for duathlon from Googling. I didn't know anything about it as such.
Yeah.
And I got a bad, again, and I got hit by a car. There was 6 of us out training for Carlow Roadside Club, and a car struck me and put me into the ditch. And basically, I had to get 2 knee operations, broken wrist, fairly well battered up now.
Yeah.
Broke my tibia on my right side. So that kind of put that whole season or thought of of anything really in my head. Was just recovery then at that time, you know, and it was tough. It's tough because I suppose when you're a go person, sitting down is not easy, you know,
Yeah,
physically and mentally. It just
yeah.
it's tough. It's tough to take, you know. But look, we got through it. We came out fighting, and we went to my first ever national duathlon in 2000 and I think it was 2019, the end of 2019.
So how
Uh,
long were you out for with the crash and the injuries?
about it happened in October, and my last operation was in July the following year.
Yeah.
So July 20, yeah. So I know obviously COVID was in the middle of it and all that sort of stuff as well. So that kind of prolonged the operations, you know, as well. But yeah, and then obviously trying to get back from the last operation then was another 8 to 9 months. But so yeah, in October I decided that fitness or no fitness, I'd try to do a national duathlon.
And your mate
Again,
who mentioned it to you, was he into duathlons himself?
he had done a couple of triathlons before,
Right.
but was a very, very good cyclist.
Yeah.
And he was a fitter. He was a retool fitter as well. So he kind of knew the mechanics even by just looking at you. And he actually told me to go do a VO2 test. And I did a VO2 test up in, it's called Health Matter here in Dublin. And on the bike I came in at 72, and on the run I came in at 73. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
very good.
he said it was there, the capacity is there to maybe, you know, go that route. So and that was when, you know, I was 35, 30, 34, 35. So
What
even
year
at
was
that
that? Was
age,
that 2019, did you say? Or
2019, yeah, yeah, yeah. So yes, from there then I did my first nationals in 2020 in November. I think it was 2020, I think it was. And I don't know, came 16th or whatever,
yeah.
and
Had
took
you
me
done
there.
any before you did the nationals? Had you
No, no. I just had
straight
done
straight in?
just train myself, rode the bike. That's all. I hadn't a clue really, you know, what to do. Um,
No clubs involved or coaches or
not then, no, not then, no. I said I didn't know what. There was no club even in Carlow Town at the time. The nearest one was a Thai, and they were a tri club, which would be about half an hour up the road from me again. But I didn't know anything about it. You know, that kind of, I talk about being raw, being
yeah, yeah.
naive. You know, and that's me, I suppose, throw myself in a deep end and it's either sink or swim. You know,
So how
but
does the nationals work then?
so because obviously with COVID there was no rounds previous to it, so it was just a nationals event.
One off
In
race.
one off race, yeah, yeah. That's, you know, the pros can turn up to it, anybody can turn up to it. And yeah, so I came 16th overall in it.
Wow.
Yeah, for considering I did it, I think it was just an hour and an hour and 1 minute, I think it was at the
Yeah.
time. And but like even in my age group, I was only eight in my age group because that
Right.
age 35, 39 was just
Yeah.
unreal athletes, to be fair to them. You know, lads doing 55 minutes, doing 54 minutes for it, for the sprint. So yeah, I got again. I kind of suppose I dipped my toe into talking to a few people online and so on, and I contacted one guy back home in New Ross, and he came on board as a coach for me for the year, just to kind of help me kind of see what plan they could put in place and kind of give me an idea of what was really entailed in this multi-sport. And I stayed with him for a year till I kind of found my feet.
Mm.
And then, you know, you always want to search and search and search. And in 2021, Viles, we qualified for that,
And how
and
did you qualify for that?
that was just through racing in Ireland.
Yeah. So how does the racing process work in Ireland then?
Yeah, so obviously without COVID, that was kind of still in around the COVID year, so it was kind of a bit messy. But normally what happens is there's a national series in Ireland. So this year was 11 races,
Right.
and they will pick your best three, including your nationals. So you take your two best results out of the 11. If you do 11, very few people do because there's two of them on the one days and so on,
Sure.
in different parts of the country. But your nationals then is doubled. So your result in your nationals, you get double, whatever score you get, your points are doubled. So
It's done on a points basis then.
all points basis, yeah. So like normally a winner would get 700 points.
Right.
And then depending on how many athletes are in that, would a percentage of that would be falling down to whatever the 100 place or whatever is in the race, you know. So your national series is kind of is one way of doing it, and then also competing in the nationals. If you can come in the top five of the nationals, well, then you qualify as well. You know.
Top five of the nationals.
Yeah, yeah. Per
Um,
age group.
so how many places do Ireland offer then for each age group?
Normally it is five. Normally they
Right.
will five, but very rarely will we have five in every age group. You know, a lot of athletes won't travel abroad for their own reasons. I don't know why, but
So is it quite an established, like is triathlon and duathlon and all the multisports, are they established in Ireland and it's just that people won't travel, or is it really, really nuanced, new to Ireland?
no, it's been around. It's been around a while, and I think it's just I don't know whether it's people think that they're not capable of competing at that level. It's the financial cost of it, obviously, as well, which is it's coming out of your own pocket. It's not coming out of Triathlon Ireland's pocket.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah,
know. So, and realistically, anyone that's in these age groups of 35 to 50, they all probably have young kids and so on, and all that, is a financial strain on them. So, like I know, even though ourselves, my own club here in Carlow Triathlon Club, we had 7 international athletes last year.
right.
And the club was only established 4 years. Like, so out of all international ages between triathlon and duathlon, we've had the most going to represent Ireland, in the last 10 years,
Yeah,
which is great.
yeah, yeah. That's
You
the
know.
way you want to be, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And we're trying to even, there's myself and Fergus Mead, who's also a duathlete, he did a standard there last week. We're trying to push even club members to,
Have a,
there's nothing to fear here. You're good enough, go. And look, there was 5 that did the triathlon last year, so it's great.
so how did you find out about nationals then?
Yeah, again, it was just literally talking to people,
Yeah,
and going on to Triathlon Ireland and signing up to races, and just going and competing and getting your ass kicked
yeah.
at the start, and then learning that you have to control, you have to be able to pace, you have to, all the things that you need to do to try win a race if you can. Um,
Is it sprint mainly that you do?
Normally a sprint, yeah. Normally a sprint, yeah, yeah. I did the standard in a beta, as I was injured going into it. That's why I said I might do the longer distance, but that came back to bite me in the backside too. So
I,
yeah,
I
maybe,
always I always find it entertaining because everybody says, "Oh, it's only a sprint." Yeah, right,
yeah,
okay. Anybody who's raced a sprint knows that that doesn't work. And then
no,
and then people think, "Oh, well, you've done a sprint, so you can go and do a standard." Yeah, well, it's a little bit more than that, isn't it?
yeah,
And each one, as you step up through the distances, they're all different, and they've all got their own, you know, thing that you need to nail and work on. And if you want to step up to the next one, like the standard, and I don't mean that in like disrespectfully step up, I just meant in distance. And
yeah,
you know, it's a different way of training, isn't it? You know what
it
I mean?
is,
And
yeah,
then middle distance is different again, and then longer distance is different again. And they're all hard. That's
they
it.
are.
All hard.
As I
Sprint,
said to the lads,
sprint to Ironman, all hard.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
different.
Just different, yeah. Well, look, you're not going to go there and jog around no matter what race you are. You know, for us, it's about winning and about being in contention to win. There's nothing wrong with the social element of it. And we, like, obviously every club, half their members or three-quarters of members are the social committee and so our social members. Which just do it for the love of it and just for the fun and for the and
That's
the
great.
camaraderie.
And you need
Brilliant,
that. You
yeah,
need that.
100%, yeah.
Like you said, this is expensive. It's an expensive part of the sport, and it isn't for everybody.
No,
So we do it because we enjoy doing it and it's fun. And
yeah,
this is just an extra element to it, isn't it? At the end of the
yeah,
day.
exactly, yeah, yeah. And look, you always want to push yourself to best you can be, and if that gets you to wear a national singlet, so be it, and if it
Yeah,
gets you to a podium in a major competition, well then that's unbelievable too,
yeah.
because they're not easy.
So, what was your first experience then?
Yeah, Aviles was north of Spain in 2021. It was again, I suppose, we didn't experience the whole opening ceremony because of COVID restrictions and so
Sure.
on. So it's slightly different than what we've seen in the last number of years, which is great. But yeah, like even just putting on that Irish Fest was something that I've always wanted to do. Whether it would have been soccer, rugby, or whatever sport I was in, I always wanted to be an international athlete. And as I said before, maybe doing too many sports together was the downfall of it. That I'd never really concentrated on one as a teenager, and maybe things would have been different. But look, to put it back on, or to put it on for the first time, at 35 years of age was unreal. You know, it was just fantastic. I don't think I've even given myself the time still to realize that you have done something like that. Like, you know, but yeah, it came and went very quickly. You know, it's and then once you come out of it, you're like, okay, what's next?
What's
Where
next?
where am I going?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting back training because that was in October. I said we're back training straight away. I was in November, could have been November in 21. I said, look, the season kicks off in Ireland in the end of February. You know, so we didn't have or sorry, the end of January. So we didn't have that long to kick into gear again, you know, and get going and get qualified then for Bilbao and so on, you know.
Yeah. So Bilbao was the next one, was it?
That was my next one, yeah. That's my best result to date. Is a sprint fifth. Look again. Yeah, when you do one, you learn so much from that one event. You know, of even just trying to you're looking at your diet, you're looking at everything the way the others do it. You know, and you try more do best what's for you because everyone is slightly different. So there was a lot of trial and error going into Bilbao, and again, look, it worked well for me coming in fifth, just short of the podium. But I don't think I executed the race as best I could. Made stupid mistakes in transition that all cost seconds. In the sprint, you just don't get them back, you know. And
No,
it's
no.
and I was still learning. I was still learning even how to fucking run properly, you know, because you have these elite runners, and you're like I was good on the bike, but like if you're not in the front group with a run, forget about it. And I had never been in the front group with a run, and even in Bilbao, I wasn't. And I was trying to catch on the bike, and I was on my own on the bike, and you know all these things that you just learn, you know, from competition to competition that you don't get that level of competition at home, if that makes sense, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
because you
100%.
really have 5 or 6 people that you need to keep an eye on a race in Ireland, depending on where you are on the weekend. Whereas you're looking over your shoulder, there's 20 athletes here that can go underneath an hour here, you know.
Yeah.
So learning was a major curve there in Bilbao, for my second competition. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I was just listening to, watching on YouTube. I had a guest on, and he does a YouTube channel, Simon Hall, and he's just put his experience of combat coming back from Portugal,
Mm.
and he was talking about, it's not just the race, is it?
Mm.
You're traveling, so it's about organizing it all. It's about getting your travel sorted out, getting your accommodation sorted out, getting your bike over, getting your bike put together. You know what I mean? And it's all those added things that you don't have when you're racing at home that
Correct.
you've got to think about, and that takes energy, mentally, which then drains you physically if you allow it. It's like all those things, and I know it's the same for everybody, but it's just things that when I was listening to him, I was thinking, yeah, because he was talking about going with. Have you heard of Nirvana? They
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
the whole thing, yeah. So he went with Nirvana this year,
Mm.
but he was talking about how stressed he was about getting his TT bike in the bike box and stuff. Really, it's a really good watch actually. Simon Hall is his name,
Yeah.
and I just thought, yeah, actually, people don't talk about that side of it very much,
Yeah.
which is
Because
really
even
interesting.
even in Aviles, because there was we actually couldn't fly to Aviles from Ireland at the time. So I flew me and another guy called Trevor Corcoran from the club. Two of us traveled to the UK, and we flew from the UK with a charter plane from Nirvana. In so we were all with the team GB. So we were for that experience, and they were great, absolutely fantastic.
And they are great, and they get bad press because they're really expensive.
Mm.
But if you want to take the hassle out of it, like for example, airport transfers and hotels, then that's what you're paying for.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and you need that. Like even as I said, that was my first ever competition. So like to me, I knew nothing about
yeah,
you know, as you described there of all those feelings and all those worries and stresses, you know, and I said, right, you know what, I'm going to give it to a company to deal with, and let me try concentrate on what I need to do when I get over there.
Yeah,
And look, they were brilliant. There was no issue. The bike was there when I arrived. You know, it was seamless, to be fair to them. You know,
yeah, yeah,
um, but yeah, and then I suppose we went training fairly hard. When I came back from Bilbao after kind of getting close to the podium, I was like, here, I want to get there. It's as simple as that. No matter what needs to happen, I need to get on a podium and either at a major competition. And went training fairly hard. Won a national series race in Ireland. Beating all the younger lads, and that was the kind of the self belief that I kind of needed. Back in 2000 and whatever 22, 23, that you know I could back this up with a good performance in Ireland, and got third in my age group internationals, and got third in the national series as well. Um, so yeah, then that was next was what next was Ibiza, I think, and
yeah,
Ibiza and Venice. That's
yeah.
right, in Italy, in Crawley, and I knew myself that in Venice that I was in really good shape going over,
Mm.
and it wasn't about just turning up and racing, and it was a medal guaranteed. That there never is, especially when you have Dan Tate in the in the mix.
Yeah.
But like I knew myself, the form was there, the numbers were there. I was running really well, and on the Friday, I was sitting in a restaurant, and some of the Team GB guys were there, and I know Luke Reed, and Luke was there having food, and I sat down with my parents, and we were having food, and 2.5 hours later, I was in the bathroom, and I did not leave it till 10 o'clock on the Saturday morning of the race. I got food poisoning, and I
Oh,
couldn't race. Couldn't race,
oh
and I was
no.
yeah, I was
Oh,
devastated, absolutely devastated. Yeah, yeah, because I
oh,
just knew, and I looked at the results and looking at the times, and I was just there was a medal there for me. But yeah, that hit hard, and
yeah.
I came back and trained like a fucking demon, and I tore my calf. Um, 3 weeks, 2 weeks before the nationals, did the nationals, came second in the nationals on the torn calf. The week after that was Ibiza, and look, you're just managing it, trying to get through it. And I was doing the standard in Ibiza, and 4K into the race, bang, calf went, and I finished the whole race, and I walked across. Like I was in absolute agony, and Ben Price was actually there with his kids, and as we came down by I still remember on the restaurant by the sea, and he was, come on, push, and I was walking at that station. There was 3K still to go, and I was in bits, like. But I said I might never get to another Worlds again. I said I wasn't leaving it behind. I wasn't pulling out. It's just not in the DNA to pull out. So we crossed the line, and yeah, I said this is this is tough, and it was. It took me 6.5 months to get back from the torn calf.
Yeah.
I ripped it, and yeah. So then basically this year, then we did national series again. Won the national series in my age group, and I was beaten for overall national series by 3 points in the end by one of my mates. Uh,
Yeah.
but and again the week before I broke my toe. I broke my toe before the nationals, and but anyway, um, yeah. So we got the overall in the we got the age group, and I got third in the age group in the internationals. Wasn't the result I wanted, but look, with a broken toe, you would have taken it any day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So and they recovered from that. That happened about 8 weeks ago. The broken toe, 9 weeks ago now, and then all guns blazing for what, 2 weekends ago there in Cumbrera. So yeah, that's
And how did it
again.
go over there? What did you think of the whole experience? Because I'm
I
sure
look,
there's going to be quite a lot of people listening to this from that, because it was a fantastic week long
that was
event,
brilliant.
from the
Yeah,
sprint on the Saturday, and it only just finished with the fall, didn't it? At the
full on Sunday. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. No, look, we went over. I flew over on the Wednesday afternoon and got in. Now, look, the setting was gorgeous. A kind of real old, town, with loads of steps on it. And I look, to be fair, it was really well done. You couldn't complain about it at all. To be fair, weather was fantastic. Everything really, went clockwork. I think for them, and I think like we have this kind of persona that Spain only do it right. But look, to be fair, Portugal did it right.
Yeah, I
And
think that town especially, they do a lot of, events there, don't they?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Look, having that river
you
there,
could
and
tell.
yeah, you can. Yeah, there was no stone unturned. They put an awful lot of work even into their social media on Facebook and so on,
That
building up
was
to.
fabulous, wasn't I? I
Yeah,
haven't seen an event management company do that.
correct.
Well, not as good as that anyway. They were just
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, and even like I was trying to contact them, about getting different profiles of the run and all that sort of stuff and whatever and the bike, and there was no issue. They were coming straight back to you. There was no kind of delay, or there was no ignoring athletes. They were on the ball. They really were,
Yeah,
and it was fantastic. We left on the Monday, so it was a fantastic 5 days.
yeah,
You know, um, but yeah, no, everything went well. Personally, I was 50 seconds down after the first run, and I kind of had an idea that I wouldn't have been able to stay with Dan anyway after losing a couple of weeks with the toe. And Nelson Gomez is an excellent runner as well from Portugal. Like,
mm,
so the two of them were always going to be thereabouts. The bones of nearly a minute ahead of me. But got on the bike, and look, the bike is my strong suit, and I'd worked like an absolute animal on the bike. And three other guys from Team GB came, Blackwell. Um, I think Alan was one of their lads' names, and we just rode, and we just rode, and we closed the 50 seconds very quickly, and got to the lead group, and then it was kind of just messing around and left on the jump and so on. And for the first time ever in a major championship, I was in the mix of where I needed to be,
yeah,
and came into T2, leading into T2, just off the bike, and for some reason the legs just wouldn't. They just wouldn't go for the first 1.5. Just it was like someone was literally after putting two cement blocks on them. They just were just dead, and I was like, "What is going on here? Like this has never happened before. What is going on?" And with about 1.5, it was exactly 1.2k to go. Someone just like freed them up, and I started to overtake lads, and I was catching lads, and I ended up coming seventh, but I think it was 23 seconds off a medal. But
yeah.
like it was too late. Once you lose that 1.5, your lads just go past you so quick, and you're not getting it back.
No,
You know.
it's unforgiving, isn't it? The sprint, you've just got no.
Yeah.
I mean, it was funny because we were looking and watching the pros, the
Mm.
elites, and we noticed that Mario Mola, and I don't know how many of the other guys, didn't clip in. He just wore his trainers all the way around.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the other guys that I follow on YouTube, GB athlete called Mark Saggers, he was racing and he got fourth. And we've just been talking about that very fact. And he's gone off and bought some flat pedals for that very purpose. Uh,
Okay.
because the guys he was racing against, I think Spanish and Portuguese, they just, I think he was 15 seconds down because he had to unclip, change his shoes, and they didn't. They
Yeah.
just, they just had flat pedals, trainers on all the way around. 15 seconds in and out of transition, they were gone. And he just, like you've just said there, you just can't
No.
make that up unless you're I mean, these guys are flying anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
If
not. You're not. You're not going to run 10 seconds faster than them. You're not like.
No,
You
well, he
know.
said he looked at the times and he said him and the third place athlete rang at exactly the same time,
Yeah.
and you just so he's just started looking at um,
Yeah, because like to be fair, realistically, the elites, their courses are never that challenging in relation. There's no real hills on them, that kind of
yeah,
way. So they're nearly all based around the town.
yeah,
So like they generate the power. They're not going to lose power by clippings.
yeah, and I guess also because it's a drafting race, if you're in a pack,
Mm.
then it makes no difference, does it? You're right because they were doing laps round the flat part, weren't they?
Yeah.
They weren't going. I don't know. They didn't do the long loops like you guys did.
No, they had
Uh,
one little small little ramp, all right.
yeah,
As they came out of transition, but other than that, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, I think from their point of view, the power wouldn't be an issue. Uh,
no,
on your course, I'm not so sure, but it didn't do the Spaniards and the Portuguese any harm.
no,
They seem to stick within the group, and I
yeah,
think that's the thing, isn't it? With your drafting races and you're in that group, power's not really
no,
an
no.
issue,
It's
is
not
it?
like here in Ireland because we do for our sprints, we're all on TT bikes, so it's non-draft in Ireland.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we don't have draft legal in Ireland at all.
Ah,
And
that's
so
interesting. So
yeah,
how well there's a question then. So how did you feel the first time you went in from like doing it in Ireland on your TT bike to a drafting race.
Yeah, I suppose having cycled, I suppose wasn't too much of it,
Of
as in
course,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but as in, yeah, but like it is different training though. It is like, when you're on a TT bike training compared to a road bike training, it is different,
yeah.
you know. Like even your setup and everything and trying to get back used to the road bike compared to a TT bike and the small little things and all these small little things matter, But no, to be fair, the draft legal doesn't bother me at all. You put out your elbows and you're
No,
used
it's
to
right up your street, isn't it, from
it.
your
Yeah,
background and
yeah.
your
You just
history?
go through a line, you see a line, you're going to go through there,
It's it's yeah, it benefits you if anything, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's it. Like, and that's even, like if it was a longer bike in a draft, I'd be happy. That kind of way. Like, give me 50K on the bike
Yeah,
and a 5K
yeah.
run and a 3K run, I'd be happy. But but
Well,
maybe
actually,
the standard.
yeah. I mean, seventh, you you did well, didn't you?
Yeah, you're
What you
looking
were
at
up against.
yeah, like you're talking like uh, it was 23 seconds off Dan in the end. Like and you just after like he passed me. I think he passed me just inside that 1K, first 1K after T2, and I just couldn't stick with him. I just knew myself. Like I tried and I tried and I tried, but it was just like the legs came back, and I was just like, well, fake it anyway. You know, like, and you can see them all in the distance, and you're catching, you're picking them off one by one, and it's just you run out of time then, But
But then I think that's fine because again, all every day's a school day. These are all lessons, aren't they, that you learn, and that can happen to anybody where your legs just don't. They're not
yeah,
there.
I'd say,
But
look, realistically, I probably put such a big stint in on the bike that it took that little bit longer to recover.
yeah,
But as I said myself, and I even said to the lads in the team GB, I said, if I don't get to that front group, the race is over. I
yeah, of
have to
course,
get there,
yeah.
and I came at a cost,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean
But,
that does. It's funny again. I was after speaking to Mark because he got fourth.
hmm,
He had the Spaniards and the Portuguese, and they just weren't working. And
yeah, they don't.
he did the work,
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, that's nothing new. The Spaniards won't work.
no,
The
no,
Portuguese won't work. They'll just sit on and
yeah,
sit the legs. So that's a lesson learned for him actually. That you've got to be canny. You've got to. Doesn't matter what grief people give you. You've got to save your legs as much as you can.
yeah, yeah.
And if that means sitting in and another group passing you, that's it.
So,
That's
yeah.
the risk you take, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah, yeah. No, and that everything is obviously in the sprint is so quick. Everything happens so quick, and you're losing seconds by not working. And you're in your head, if I don't get there, I might as well come 20th or 30th. It makes no difference.
Yeah, I mean, in your instance, you had to do the work
Had
to
to.
catch up. You had no choice, so
Yeah,
you've expended all that added energy that the guys at the front didn't have to do, did they?
yeah, yeah. And like you look at the lads who passed me on the run, like they were just sitting in. You're
Yeah,
just sitting in, and like Aaron there from Austria, he came fourth, and I think he actually came third in the standard the day after. But like he just sat in, and he saved his legs for the run. And he finished 3 seconds ahead of me, or 15 seconds ahead of me for fourth. I was just like, ah man, But look, that's he did he was smart,
yeah,
and
yeah.
but maybe I'm the Irish fool.
Oh no, it's just you just learn, don't you? It's just next time you'll be in a different situation and you'll view it differently, and you've learned from that race, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
go again and put different things into practice, try different things.
That's it. Yeah, and look, and there's a good few of the Irish team over. There was 13 of us over for the first
All
weekend,
right, that's good. Yeah,
and yeah, like and some of them, was there five of them? Five of them was the first time over there,
yeah.
and like you're just trying to give them a bit of guidance in relation to all this, the guidance that and the knowledge that I have from the first 3 or 4 that I've done, and like I don't know it all either. I'm still
No,
learning, but like you're trying to say, save here and get off your feet here the day before, and all these little bits and pieces that you learn over the years of doing it.
yeah,
It's not like a race in Ireland. It's not like a race in the UK. You just, it's a bigger deal. You have to look after yourself because you're there a couple of days beforehand. You're in the heat. It's all these small little things that you don't need to deal with when you're racing at home.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean that advice that you're giving to the new people is invaluable. You know what I mean? It's you shouldn't discount that at all. It's like we all wish that we had somebody like that when we started, don't we? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
That give
yeah.
us the
That's
guidance and yeah. What a triathlon island like then for information and guidance and help and
Yeah, well, like to be fair, they're okay. They're okay. I realistically, I get nearly all of my up to date news off the age group news from the UK Team
right.
GB. They're
Yeah,
brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I
yeah,
can't remember the man's name. I know his face. I can't think of his name. Who organizes it? but like
David
any
Pearson.
information, was it?
David Pearson.
Dave, that's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but like, yeah, straight on, there's no issue. Especially like when is the European Championships coming out, or when is it? And they're always first to know.
Yeah,
And then I'll post it to Triathlon Ireland, and
yeah,
it'll be maybe a week or two before they clarify it, and then they come back.
yeah,
But look, like Triathlon Ireland, they've put in a lot of work, and a lot of work underage as well. So they're producing really kind of good athletes now that are in their teenagers, and hopefully that's a good thing, that like realistically when you look at the elite that we don't have many elite athletes, that are doing tri and that are doing the duathlons. But like in the next maybe 10 years, I think we will.
yeah.
I think
Hopefully, I mean that's what you want, don't you? You want the sport to grow, and
yeah.
that's the only way. Getting grassroots, getting clubs and the youngsters involved, and that's
Well,
it.
that's exactly it. It's like everything is, and you put the right coaches in place to guide them,
Yeah,
and they have to have fun while they're doing it when they're young, because like you're trying to do three sports at 12 or 14 years of age. It's tough, that kind of way. Like, and you're
yeah.
trying to, if you're doing triathlon, well, then you're doing swimming, and swimming is obviously early in the mornings, and you still have school, and then you're trying to, so
Oh
and then
yeah,
your friends, and there's so much going on in their life at that age. So
yeah.
it's, I suppose, nearly if your parent or their parents aren't involved in it, well, then they probably won't be involved in it that kind of way, and
I think I
that's the
think
only thing.
that's generally it. Yeah,
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 so and look, and having people in clubs that have the experience of maybe being abroad and competing abroad, that can give help to new members, whether it be a run form or whether it be a bit on the bike or whatever it may be. Like, that's all good information coming down the line, and hopefully it'll benefit a kid somewhere along the line at 12 or 14 years of age, that you know what, okay, he's an Irish international, okay, maybe an age group, but I can be there in 3 years' time or 5 years' time.
yeah.
And I think Triathlon Ireland are doing right underage at the moment. They seem to be putting in a lot of small camps, summer camps, Easter camps, and again, there's probably 4 or 5 clubs that are driving it, but their numbers are huge, at underage, and that's what you want, and you will get good athletes. Eventually, you will get good athletes if the numbers are high. You
You
know,
need high numbers because of the drop off, like you said.
yeah,
With things that it's so hard, and it's for kids to sustain it when they get into the late teens, isn't it?
mhm, yeah.
Uh,
So much
so
distractions, like
yeah,
you
there's
know.
so many distractions. Um, so have you? Here's a question for you: being a teacher and into the sport, have you contemplated trying to get it into school?
Yeah, there's one of the girls. She's a teacher, a PE teacher, and she's in the Atai club. And the Atai club have a very strong underage group for the last number of years, and they've put in a really good pathway with Triathlon Ireland. And she got in. Gary Crossan, who was a former coach of Triathlon Ireland, he's now gone to Athletics Ireland, and he was coming down and doing duathlons and practicing on the bike for TYs, which is a transition year, which are 16 years of age kids, um, and that's been in the school for the last 3 years. So she's done that. So I'm not going to step on her toes. I'm only new in the school. I'm only 2.5 years in the school, so I'm not going to step on her toes. She's doing a
No,
fantastic
no.
job.
It's
You know,
good, isn't it? Yeah,
it is, yeah. And look, and I pop out every now and then to help a hand and whatever if they need it. But yeah, it's great to get them into schools. And again, it just shows some kids have no idea that there's a triathlon or there's a duathlon. No clue.
but
You know?
it's not just kids, is it? I mean, your general
Oh,
population has no clue. I think I got asked today. I'd been for a swim and then went in the sauna, and there was this lady that was in the same lane as me. She was already in the sauna, and she said, "Oh, what do you do? Do you do triathlons?" And I said, "Yeah, triathlons, duathlons." "Oh, duathlon, what's that?"
mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, so triathlon, people are pretty much aware of it.
yeah.
People have no idea what a duathlon is.
No, never mind aquabike or anything like that.
Oh yeah, well,
You know,
that's it. You're on space if you're talking
yeah,
about aquabike. It's
yeah.
like,
But like again, like it's fantastic to have those sports there for people.
yeah,
It's just again getting the knowledge out there, getting the exposure,
yeah,
on media, on social media platforms or whatever. But like,
yeah.
there's people that are fantastic swimmers and really good runners, and they have no idea that this is there for them.
I know,
And they're
I
saying,
know.
man or girl, you could be an unbelievable athlete. Just,
Yeah, yeah. Have a go. Or find out. It's just that finding out, isn't it?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
the key.
that's it. Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But no, but like, one student came to me. He's a fantastic runner. He's a 4x4 100-meter runner. He was in a relay race, a relay team this year that won the schools. And he said, "Sir, can I do a triathlon?" I said, "Of course you can." I said, "Can you swim?" And he was a swimmer underage, like he's a very, very good swimmer. He would be swimming easily 120, 110 in his comfort. I'm like, "Well, yeah, let's go if you want."
Yeah,
And I was doing a bit of coaching with him, just helping him out or whatever. And he comes back to me about 2 months into, "Sir, I'm after making the county panel." So the county panel is like a county hurling or county football, the county hurling panel he made. And
yeah,
I was like, "Well, look, realistically, you're going to have to make a choice now.
yeah.
What's it going to be?" And look, he's a county hurler now, and he didn't realize how much was involved in triathlon, but the family's big into GAA, and he stepped into the GAA, but he'll come back to it at some stage in his life.
Yeah,
You
absolutely,
know,
absolutely. And the
it'd be
beauty of
great.
that is that he's the kids who've been swimming and can
Mm,
swim
mm.
properly from like tiny, they've just got such an advantage, you know what I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
over everybody else. I mean,
yeah,
that's what you usually find, isn't it? Um, that's why other people go off and do duathlons and you know,
yeah,
um,
yeah. Because I did a couple of tries. There 2 years ago. Um, just again because the season was finished for duathlon, because our season basically, unless there's an international competition, our season finishes at the end of April.
right?
So that's like it's a long year then if you're doing nothing else between
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
it is,
you
isn't
know
it?
so
Yeah.
so I did a couple of tries just for the crack, and but you do have to spend time in the pool. You really
Oh
do,
yeah,
or you do,
yeah,
so, and it
yeah.
wrecks my head. Because it's so finely, everything has to be perfect for swimming. I'm just like, you get something right, something else goes wrong. You're just like wrecking your head.
So so technical, so
Isn't it?
technical. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Frustrating. It's not the word.
No, that is the word. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's a lovely story, and thank you for sharing it. And I mean, if people aren't inspired by that, then I don't know, don't know what we're going to do. So, um, we'll just go on to the quick fire questions. And the first one is: are you coached? Now, I know you said you were coached. How do you come up with training plans, and what is a week of training? And I know that changes from like month to month. But saying now you've just come back from competition in Portugal, what does a week of training look like now? And
Yeah, so yeah, I'm being coached by a guy called Mark Flavin, and Mark is obviously he's a Jew athlete as well. Um, he got injured. He was meant to be in Canberra. He actually was there, but he couldn't race. He's injured. But he's in the same age group as me, believe it or not. But
right,
he's been around the block. He's a very good duathlete, to be fair to him. Very good biker as well. But yeah, so look, I suppose he's a family man as well. He works as well. He's his own business, so he understands what distractions you have in your life as well. So normally what happens is, for say pre-season, you'd be doing your little bit of strength work on a Monday, then you're either doing a run bike Wednesday, run bike Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You might have a light day Friday, and then you're kind of longer stuff on Saturday and Sunday. Competition wise, I'm going to do hopefully the Grand Fondo in Ireland, the World Qualifier TT on this Saturday coming.
okay,
So hopefully that's the plan, is to go there. So a bit more biking this week, more so than running, even though the run will kind of be probably just a light run on the Friday,
yeah,
just to keep it going. My last competition will be the Cork European in Cork. It's a world competition as well in Cork this year for the first time in Ireland, and so I'm going to head down to that in near the end of July. So that's the last duathlon of the season for me.
right.
So that'll be, look, I'll probably hit a bit of speed work after the Grand Fondo, just to get the legs back again, and then just be able to be bike run, bike run, bike run, yeah, until that date, and then
What's the
oh,
Grand Fondo entail?
yeah. So it's 26K TT is what I'm going to do.
26K TT.
Yeah, there's three different races. There's a 156K road race, 100K road race, and an 80K road race, I think, as well, or something like that. But I'll be just doing the TT on the Saturday morning,
Yeah.
just for the crack.
July, you said you've got a race in July. What is that? The Nationals?
No, that's the nationals were up in Newry there 2 weeks ago, I think, for triathlon. It's a Cork City triathlon, but it's a festival of, it's basically the European. qualifier. I try to get the correct name for it now. It's like there's youth races. It's kind of a whole week end of racing. So there's kind of the Cork City youths from 14 to 17s, and then you have the duathlon, which is on the Saturday, I think.
Mm.
And then you have the sprint duathlon, I think, or the triathlon, sorry, is on the Sunday. I'm not sure what date that is. That's on the 14th. But there's also the European Triathlon Cup, which is on the same day. I think it's the 14th of July. So that's where, some of the big guns will be there
Yeah, yeah,
from
yeah. So
across
it's
Europe.
that's yeah, because they have the World Cups, don't they? They have the top series, they have the World Cups, and then they have the European
Yeah.
equivalent. So you've got one of those over in Cork.
Yeah, so in
Cool.
Cork, yeah.
Now
Yeah,
I
on the
understand.
14th.
Yeah, I get that now. Yeah, yeah.
So
That'll be a nice weekend then. Yeah,
that'll be a big weekend now. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And Cork is a great city, to be fair. Like it's big university there, two universities there, so it'll be well equipped for it. So I'd say that'll be a fantastic weekend. And even if you're not involved in the competition, get down and support, and
yeah,
see the really good athletes that are doing triathlon. So
yeah. Brilliant. Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
my plan. And then I'll probably take a little bit of a break for a week or two and do a bit of cycle racing, league racing, and that sort of stuff.
Cool. Good. Good. And what's your favourite bit of kit?
My favorite bit of kit. Ooh, favorite bit of kit. I'd say I'd say it's my first Irish race suit.
Like it?
That's
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And how many have you got now? Race suits.
Mm, four of them. Four, yeah.
How often do they change them then?
Ireland changed this year actually. So they changed company. So they were originally kind of more black and green, and they've gone more kind of green now
Yeah,
this year with a yellowy logo on the side with Ireland on it. I got lucky enough. I got sponsored 2 years ago to Bilbao. So the sponsor logo was on the front of it, and this year I got sponsored by a local credit union, and they sponsored. So that's why I probably have to changed. I've changed a few
ah,
times because of the sponsorship.
oh yeah, yeah,
But,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And is the kit expensive from the Irish Tri Federation?
It is indeed, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Very,
I
very
just thought
expensive.
I'd ask because it is in the it is for British triathlon as well.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
look at, and I think maybe that needs to be looked at across the whole board. Like, as in we all pay out of our own pocket. By the
yeah,
time you take accommodation with him, you take flights and all that sort of stuff. Like whether it be a discount or whatever. Like at the end of the day, you're going representing your country. But it's so hard. Like especially with Team GB, there's so many athletes. You know.
yeah. We've said this before. It's just it seems to be a money making machine. If it
Mm,
wasn't for the British team, especially in Europe, half the time there'd be no races at all because
correct.
it's a Brit fest to be fair when you
It
go.
is. Because even when I was leaving on the Monday, I was packing up the car, and there was a couple coming up, and one of them was she had raced on the Saturday in the sprint, and was her first event for Team GB, and she couldn't get over the amount of athletes for Team GB, and I said, yeah, well, there wouldn't be an event
No,
only for you guys.
yeah,
It's as simple as that, like because like we're very 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 small. We're only sending a small number of athletes. Portugal small, France small. For big countries, they just do not produce them, or they just don't send them out. I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, you would think Portugal being,
Mm,
it's quite a big sport in their country. You would
yeah,
think being in Portugal, there would be a lot more. And
yeah,
Spain, the same. When you go to Spain, you would think there'd be a lot more athletes. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like we've said, it's just too expensive for
maybe.
people to bother. You
Yeah,
know.
but then again, you look at Mexico and you look at the United States when the Worlds are on, and they come in huge numbers now. I know Mexico. I think as far as I know, because I remember chatting to one of them in Ibiza, and they do get help from the federation. Now he didn't go
Must be
into a
one of
whole.
the only countries that do then.
Yeah, yeah, and they even get individual T-shirts for the competition. Whatever competition it is, it's 2024. Like so, if it's Pontevedra next year they'll have 2025 Pontevedra on their own T-shirt. So and
Yeah.
it's a squad T-shirt. They pick them up themselves in a depot. So it's
Yeah.
I don't know, but again, it's all down to money. It's all down to money and where that money goes.
Yeah, it's a shame really, because
Like
then
realistically, I don't think a tri suit should be costing. the money that it's costing and not getting something back in return. There's no excuse for it. Like even if you paid your full whack for your suit and they said, right, well, here's a voucher of €100, take it off your flight, or whatever the case may be. Because when you're buying in bulk like that, and I do an awful lot of sports gear for schools, from my school and schools that I've been in, like, and I've got my own personal tri suits and podium top. They don't cost that money. So
Yeah.
something needs to be looked at, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, I totally agree, 100%. There are issues, but people keep rolling up and spending the money, and we're the worst for it because we have you know, the biggest team, especially in
Hmm.
Europe. So I don't know what the answer is, to be
Yeah.
honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
What resources do you use to help you with your training or with your duathlons? And that could be books, it could be YouTube, could be whatever. Coach, I don't know, whatever. What's your favorite resource?
My favorite resource, I would say my guitar. Um,
Never had that answer before.
and the reason is I'm a bit OCD on numbers and stats and so on, and I wreck my own head. And the only thing that kind of gets me out of that zone is just sitting down and just fooling around with a guitar for half an hour or so.
Brilliant.
Because yeah, like I have it, we have our own track, our own athletics track is literally 10 minutes away from me here. So like the amenities are here for me. So like I have all that, but it's for me to switch off is the hardest thing to do. So that's what I try to work on as hard as best I can. And I think the only thing that does it is just sit down for half an hour and just fool around with a guitar. And I'm
Love it.
not good, but I just fool around with it.
Well, you know what? I'm exactly the same. I can't string a tune together, to be honest, but I just love just picking out. I can't play the guitar, but I just love picking out. Um, that and the garden for me. I'll
Okay.
go to the garden. I mean, I'm a gardener anyway, but I'll go in my own garden and I'll just be lost in there and just switch
Okay.
on everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guitar's similar, music, and that was the other thing I was going to ask you. Do you train with or without music? It's a new
On
question, by the way. You won't have heard this one before.
No. Look, realistically, on long born rides, if it's a zone two ride or whatever, maybe. When I'm running, if I have to do, 20K runs and again they're the zone twos, yeah, I put something in, but like that might only be one session a week. Rest of them will be no, just in your own head and trying to. I think in my head is if you're trained to music, well then when you rock up to a race, where's the music?
Yeah. That
And
has been said, actually. I've heard that before.
yeah.
Uh, yeah,
As they say, practice as if you're going to race. That's
yeah.
what I teach my kids. So
Yeah, no, I mean, there's
yeah.
value in that for sure. And when you do train with music, what's your favorite tune?
My favorite. Well, I would be a kind of a '90s man, trance dance music man. So anything from Scooter to to Bass Hunter or anything like that. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
nice one. Um, and then finally, what are your short and your long-term goals?
Um, I suppose short-term goals would be next Saturday would be nice to qualify for the Grand Fondo Worlds in Denmark.
Yeah,
Um, whether that'll happen or not, we'll see. And finish off the duathlon season with a good result on a Cork. Um, long-term goal, I want a podium. I really, really want a podium. There's no giving wanting it and getting it and or deserving it. That's all bull. It's all on the day, So every one of us are putting in the same amount of work. Every one of us is putting in, the hours, the diet, everything. It's a fine margin. So look, that I really, really want a European or a world medal of any color. Whether I get it when I'm 80 years of age or when I get it in the next couple of years, I don't know. But yeah, that's my main long goal is really to to be on an elite podium somewhere at a major event. Yeah, yeah.
cool. Well, good luck with it all.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
sure putting all the work in that you are doing, and you will reach it at some point, no doubt about that.
Fingers crossed.
You seem to be driven, and yeah, you've got your head screwed on. So good luck with it, and I'll be watching your every move and how you're progressing now that we've been introduced and we sort of know each other. That'll be pretty cool. Are you on Instagram?
I am indeed. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's your
So it's Owen Eoin underscore Bailey Bailey.
right? Okay.
And
Uh,
I get thousands of followers now because of this.
Well, maybe not, but it'll all help, I'm sure.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, we'll land it there. It's been great.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Richard. Cheers.
Another great, enjoyable hour there, chatting all things age group, and especially pretty cool with somebody from a different country, as Eoin is from the Irish contingent. And it's great to see that they seem to be getting more and more athletes engaged and involved in age group. Great to hear Eoin's story, and he's definitely got that drive and determination that should see him get onto the podium in the near future. So good luck with it all, Eoin. It was great to meet you, great to chat, and thank you once again for coming on the podcast. So that's it for episode 101. We have got another one lined up and recorded already, and a further one in the pipeline. But if you would like to come on the podcast and share your story and inspire others like Eoin has just done, please do get in touch. You can drop us an email at agegroupmultisportpodcast@gmail.com with a little bit of a background on your sporting history. And we're also on Instagram at amp_1967. You can DM us on that if you'd like to give us a message. We're also on Facebook at AmpGB. Twitter, I was going to say Twitter then. It's X now. Age Group Multisport Podcast on X. And our own YouTube channel with loads of videos on there. And all the other podcasts are available. And that's AmpGB. So head over there and give some of those a watch, subscribe to the channel, that would be much appreciated. And it would also be great if you could share this about within your own community, your clubs, any friends that are into multi-sport. Just tell them that we're here, and we've got some remarkable stories from over 100 guests now. So yeah, get involved. Thank you for listening once again, and don't forget, stay safe, keep training, and love the process.